said everything's gone absolutely great. He's really happy with it, and we're really happy for him. So guys, you regular viewers, whether you're subscribers or non-subscribers, I did mention in the last video, I know it's easy to forget, but there's a lot of you guys out there that are continually watching our videos and we really appreciate it, but you haven't yet subscribed. So if you can, guys, just hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We'll really appreciate that. From the last video, we actually gained 5 times more subscribers than we normally do on our videos. So really appreciate that, guys. Get hitting that subscription button. Cosworth Carlos here, look, building the small turbo Escort engine. Say hello, Carlos, you're famous. So he's got the crank in this now. What we've got to do, fit the small ends, balance the rods, dummy build for the jut out on the pistons, and then away we go. See, Carlos has got all the little bits here, painted, blasted, etc. We've got the bits there to go in the engine. We've got the new turbocharger there. So that's an original turbocharger gone through, reconditioned, that's all ready to go on. Carlos did inform me that when he took this apart, and this is the trouble with these stock Cosworths really, he said that the sump and the front seal housing had definitely been off before because it got different sealer on, and this car is meant to be completely untouched. The engine was meant to be completely untouched and original, so something's obviously gone on there in the past, although it did look like it had the original oil pump and the crank was all standard with the original bearings. I don't quite know why they've got that off, whether it was a sump leak issue or something like that. So all he's got to do now is, as I said, I've just got to do them rods and balance them. Then he's going to just recondition this inlet manifold and paint that, etc. And then, yeah, this is all ready to just put back together. So while we're on the subject of Cosworths, guys, the engine that we did 1 or 2 videos on in the past, the one that had the 3-4 builds, and he had trouble with mapping at the end of it. So we've had good news from him. He messaged me saying that the car has been dynoed. He's run it in properly this time, whereas before he'd only run it in on an engine dyno. He's actually put it in the car. He's put, I think he's got another ECU for it now, and he's put a good base map on it and took it and done some good road miles and run it in correctly. Changed the oil, and he's took it to someone else who's got it on the dyno and managed to successfully map it with no troubles at all. Don't think he had to change any of the cam timing or anything like that. So he sent us a couple of videos of that on the dyno. And as you can see, it looks really strong on the dyno there. So we're really pleased for him. I think he said that it produced about, at 1.8 bar, it's produced about 470 horsepower and then sort of run out of puff. So whether that was anything to do with the cams, because we did change the cams and sort of tamed them down a little bit. But I think he was expecting anything over sort of 450 he was quite happy with, although now he probably would like over 500. Since then, he has done 1 track day at Donington Park. I think it was just a sort of track day to ease into it really, and he said he was a little bit nervous of the car because of all the problems he's had in the past, which is completely understandable. But he said everything's gone absolutely great. He's really happy with it, and we're really happy for him. So fingers crossed that all stays good. I think he's got a plan for maybe a little bit of a change on the turbo, maybe the cams, and try and just creep over that 500 horsepower mark. But yeah, so far so good. Happy for him. So we've got a Cosworth rod here. We're just going to measure the housing. It's only nipped up in here, so it's not done up tight. So basically, if I measure top to bottom first, I've basically, on slack top limit, I've got it set on the +1. So as you can see, that's slightly under there on top limit. If we go side to side, this is where you usually run into problems. So you see it's very slightly tight, but it's still within limits there. And the same there. So this rod is not too bad at all. Sometimes you find that it goes over the 0, and I like to run them on top limit, as in on the slack side. So I'm just going to run the hone down that one very slightly, and just true it up. But usually, as I say, if it just goes tight and over the 0, I'll normally ease it out half a thou, and usually find by doing that it doesn't take any off the up and down limit there. But if it's any more than that, about 1.5 thou, 2 thou, then you've got to resize the rod, which means taking some off the cap and the rod, which in effect brings that down, and then you've got to bore it to suit. So as you can see, I've put that on our rod hone, and if I just measure that now in that axis, it measures we're sort of just on the 1/2 thou there, so that is going to be perfect, I think. Just going to do all the rest, and then that should be they should be ready to balance. Right, so this little job, we've got here a Norton twin set of barrels, and as you can see, we've got one liner in, one liner out. So this is a job for fitting top hat liners. The problem with it being, and we've had this plenty of times before on these twins, this is the base of the old liner, which is cast into the barrels, and it sort of breaks up and cracks, etc. So we've got to put new liners in it. We've gone for a top hat. So what I've done is I've machined the barrels out, and the bottom bit of this has just broke out. We've got a top hat liner, which is the same external diameter as the old one. So literally, we've just bored it, and the old one just broke out. I fitted one, but I'll just show you one in and one out. You see there's a big old hefty flange on the top there, and this one you can see is cut out for it. We've got a 2 thou interference for the new liner, and the idea of me putting one in with a flange this size is so that the gasket can sit on the flange, as opposed to either half on the flange and half on the barrels, or just on the barrels. So that's what I've gone for. Push this one in. That has come out now exactly the right length to what the old one was. These liners come in an 8-inch long liner, so they sort of started out about this long, but I've just parted them off to the correct length. So I'm going to get this other one in and show you how I go about pressing that in. And then what we've got to do, once that's in, on the old liners, you see there's a flat there, and that flat sat on both liners in between, and the gap in between was 15mm. So once we've got this second liner in, we're then going to have to set it up on the mill and just run an end mill down and get that gap. It's obviously for a clearance, something to do within the crankcases, but yeah, we'll just get this liner in, and then we'll proceed to stick those flats on. Then I'm going to machine the other side, get the face flat, and then we're just going to bore these out to the size that we want. So what I do is I just press very slightly, probably press the liner in about 5mm, just so it gets started. And then what I do is just lower it, and I put 2 bars up the top, crossed above that bronze block, and that just allows the liner to centralise itself into the bore. And there it is, you see, up 2 bars, and that just allows it to sort of go one way and the other, just to centralise itself. And that is definitely one of my little Heath Robinson setups. I'm a little famous saying that now. I have people coming in saying about me Heath Robinson setups. I know a lot of you are going to have a whinge at me for using a hollow bar there, but it's absolutely fine, honestly. There we go. So that's all the way in now. Press to the bottom, and I think next step is to get this set up on the mill over there and turn it down and to get this top flat. So as you can see, both of those liners are in now, looking absolutely perfect. Quite a bit of meat to come out the middle, but I want to leave them nice and thick so we can just put that 15mm gap in the middle of those liners there with the end mill. But first of all, we have got on the small turbo Escort engine, we've just got to put those pockets in the pistons. Now I've got the correct deck height, and this is the jig that we do it on. It's all set up from the last set. So I'm just going to do those cutouts, and then we can move this jig out of the way, and I can do these barrels, and I'll set it up and face them. It's the end of the day now. I think I'm going to have to leave this till Monday and do it in the next video. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Until another video, we'll see you again. Take care. Cheers.